And you know, do you know who Ron Block is?
Of course.
You know, I've known Ron Block for a long time. It's always fun to get together. And we were teaching at this thing in England last week, and he's like Zen banjo player, you know. But he gets into the whole mental aspect of playing and all that stuff. And there's something to that. You know, I told that story a lot about the great hitters of baseball. You know, the Hank Aaron's and Mickey Mantles and Johnny Bench and all those guys. Babe Ruth, who they could count the stitches on the ball when they hit it. Have you heard that before? And it's scientifically, it's the way your brain processes information that much faster that for you, time slows down. Like if you fall off a building, time slows down, they say, or during a wreck or something. It's your brain fires up and moves so much faster that time slows down in your little world. I mean, it's not mystical. There's a physical reason that this happens. And baseball players, musicians, and everybody does this. You do it with your ears, you do it with your eyes. Can you examine each note as it comes by in 120 minutes and look it over and see if it's up to par before you send it on down the assembly line? You know, and when Babe Ruth could walk out, no matter what the pitcher threw him, and walk out to the field and say, I'm going to knock it out of the park right there, and point with his bat to where it was going to, it must have been like playing t-ball for him. You know, the way he could acquire a sight picture. Great shooters. You know, some of those guys, Herb Parsons and those guys that throw aspirin up the air and shoot him out, that's what they all say, I can acquire a sight picture real fast. So counting gets that way, but you just practice it.
Well, it's pretty easy with a shotgun.
I don't know, have you ever tried it? Yeah, except when you really look at the size of a wad, it's only about there. Shotgun group when it's that, when it's from here to that thing. Anyway, if you go on down this page, work through this. I'm going to plow on through because there's some things I'd like to give you that move you along from last time. Because some of you guys, this is maybe a review from last time. If you haven't seen this before, go through the page. As you get on down the page, like the second to the last line, it starts to get into a cross-picking thing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay?
What does George Shuffler have to say about this?
George who?
Shuffler.
Which one is George Shuffler?
He's the other cross-picking guru that does it 2 downs and up.
Okay, I got something to say about it. Okay. Here's the deal. You can't see your shown sheet.
I can see it.
I always think in terms of Jesse McReynolds, you know. If you look at this sheet, this is a really good question. If you look at this sheet, what you're seeing is they're repeating sequences. It's drilling. This is how you build muscle memory. You drill something over and over again. And it doesn't matter what skill it is, you're doing it. There's the old saying that practice doesn't make perfect, only perfect practice makes perfect. One thing you can count on is practice makes permanent. So if you allow yourself to practice and do something incorrectly, that's what you'll get back out of yourself. You know, let a virus in your hard drive, it'll pop up later. And you can't intellectualize it away because your body goes on autopilot, you know. And so consistency in your practice is what builds consistency in your
You were
performance.
talking in your last one about 7 times to correct one thing.
That's a mind blower. I read that. It was what it was yeah, for every one time you allow yourself to do something incorrectly, it takes 7 times of doing it correctly to blank it out, to get back to 0 again.
No.
And that's strictly from a muscle memory neural pathway thing. And it doesn't matter how much you know you shouldn't do it. As soon as you forget and your mind wanders to maybe thinking about the lyrics while you're playing, boom, your right hand goes back to whatever it has been allowed to do. And so, I'm taking a long way around the barn to get to what Tim's talking about. I've written sequences here. Cross-picking like Jesse McReynolds would do, where they go down, down, up, or up, up, down. What they're doing is creating a series of continuing rules, and they're playing within a style. What you don't want to do is every time you encounter a 3-note sequence, to shift your pick direction just to play those 3 notes. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because that'll throw you off grid. If it falls into a pattern, you know, the famous one for Jesse McReynolds was Home Sweet Home. You know, you've heard that on the Mandolin. It's real pretty. I don't even have it worked out. But there are songs that work really good to do that. Or you might play a series of licks. But to hit a 3-note, like if I play, there's a little lick that goes. I'm not going to switch just for the sake of those 3 notes. But what I will do in order to be able to play those 3 notes, I'll drill them. And that's what those sheets, that sheet is there, is to drill that over and over again. It takes drilling to get things committed to muscle memory. So that's my response to that. I mean, I just put them in 2 different categories. I'm not going to come along here and say, gee, you know, the great Jesse McReynolds, yeah, he's like 5 minutes. You know, that's not. To me, it's a specialized thing.
He doesn't do it very well anymore.
What's that?
He doesn't do it very well anymore.
Well, yeah, it does seem to have an effect on you. You know, you get awful stiff. Sorry, he passed away. Anyway, so play with those. The bottom line is backwards. Stiffen you up that way. Fingers just don't look like they used to have bad joke. They went to Carter. I'm gonna tell that story pretty bad.